Hello, everybody, to Bitcoin Live with me, Nick, and my co-host Sid, and our guest, and hopefully our recurring guest, Kitsune.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good to see you guys. It's nice to have you back on, Kitsune. I know there's some background noise on your end, so you're muting the mic now and then. So that's cool.
True.
But yeah, it's fun. So it will be the three of us, moving forward, if it's possible. That's why we changed the hours, so we're like 2 hours later than we normally go live. And this show will be about the cover-up, the NASA releases of the disclosure, and Jellyfish. But before we sort of jump into the Jellyfish, and after that the moon, I want to sort of dive into the CIA stuff first. And this is a recent performance or interview with Representative Luna, who had some tough words to say about the CIA.
This is not a threat. This is going to happen. If those files are not returned within the next 24 hours, you will be called, your faces will be made public in front of the entire American people. All of Congress will see it, and we will hold you accountable for going against a direct executive order by the president and interfering with a congressional investigation. So return the files. Do not destroy documents. You will get a preservation of documents notice for Congress, and any member of the CIA that engages in undermining this investigation will be held criminally accountable. And I am also waiting for a call back from Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general. We are not playing games with you. Return the documents.
So those were tough words.
Yeah, but later on it turns out there was no raid on Tulsi Gabbard's house,
Yeah.
and she was just making it up.
Well, okay. So here's the context. Because she reacted, she was quick to react. But what actually happened, as you rightly point out, is the following. I got it here. So of course, Tulsi Gabbard is from the DNI. So she's Director of National Intelligence. And she basically said, like, the CIA didn't do what Luna claimed they did. Or actually, it was CIA whistleblower Special Operations Officer James Erdman during a Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee hearing. He claimed that the CIA swooped in, that was his exact quote, and removed approximately 40 boxes of files related to the JFK assassination and MKUltra program. These files were reportedly in the possession of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, so that's Tulsi Gabbard, and were actively being processed for declassification under Trump's executive orders. But it turned out that that happened last year. So the CIA did swoop in the DNI, but not in the DNI's office. It happened last year during a government shutdown. So during the government shutdown. And they took the files from a National Reconnaissance Office, the NRO warehouse, and they didn't literally raid Gabbard's current office, but the files were taken back into CIA custody, which allegedly blocks further declassification. So there's now an internal agency controversy and turf battle going on between the DNI, the Department of War, and the CIA. And the question if it's illegal is still open, but they did reclaim like a lot of files from JFK and MKUltra. So that will be interesting. And furthermore, we have this one. So this is from the whistleblower himself, which is also interesting.
Conclusion took every administrative measure available to them to address their deep concerns regarding the analytic integrity of their finished intelligence. CIA managers retaliated against them.
And we also know that bribes were offered.
Okay, wait, I think that was the wrong clip, actually.
had the American public been made aware that a virus from a lab in China.
Wait. I got this really nice clip of him. Well, anyway, I can't find it. But basically, he was saying that the CIA was listening to conversations, sort of phone tapping conversations, illegally phone tapping conversations by investigators. I think it was in the other clip that I clicked away. So anyway.
Yeah, I know last year something happened, but like the way she promoted it right now, it was like it just happened right now.
Yeah, I think she responded like in the moment kind of thing, which is probably her style. So I think she was like genuinely upset, and that's why she probably used the wording that she used. But yeah, wait, I'm gonna try if I can find it, because there was a really nice one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So let's go to the jellyfish. I'll find it while we go.
Yeah, let's do Jellyfish.
That's this one that you sent me.
Yeah, it's from Jordan, I guess. First, read the description so people know where we are.
Yeah, this is the jellyfish UFO captured in the night sky over Al Sulai, Al Sarka, Jordan. The May 16, 2026 at midnight. The video shows a bright structured anomaly moving against the dark background in a region that has seen multiple recent reports. Sightings in the area coincide with heightened regional tensions and reported aerial activity, prompting questions about whether the object represents conventional technology, debris, or something unexplained. The improved quality adds detail to witness accounts circulating in the Jordanian media and online. Let's go.
No, that's not it. You have to play it from the beginning.
براجل دول ولا نور علي نور علي نور علي هنروح في
Yeah. Damn.
That's the clip. That looks very much like what we saw over Iraq, like the first jellyfish video.
Yeah. By the way, one thing before we continue on Jellyfish, I want to say that, the illusion people have created that UFOs only appears in United States, it's wrong. With this declassification of all the videos, most of them were in Middle East. Even this video is from Middle East. The problem which we were having, the people who were talking about, they were talking about specific events which happened in United States. People in the United States were more UFO fanatic and they were more interested in that topic. That's why that was popularized by American people. And the videos they were talking about or the witness they had were in America. So that's why people thought that UFOs only appears in United States. But actually it happened all over the world, specifically war-torn areas in Middle East.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Plus, the US has a very strong UFO network, MUFON and ICAP, and you got a lot of these civilian-based UFO researcher groups that collect like thousands upon thousands of cases, and you don't have anything really like it outside of the US. Plus, like you say, a lot of the news from the Middle East doesn't reach Europe or the US.
Yeah. Also, people in Middle East are so busy with their own problem, they don't even care about UFOs because UFOs don't like come and stay there, right? They just appear for a second and people just see it. They sometimes thought that's just they are imagining and stuff, or they don't record it and they don't talk about it.
By the way, I think I found the clip, the other clip.
Let's see.
So it's this one, I believe.
I am a career CIA operations officer, and as you mentioned, I was on joint duty assignment at the Office of Director National Intelligence Directors Initiatives Group, or the DIG, between March 2025 and April 2026. I was responsible for leading the DIG's investigation into COVID origins, anomalous health incidents, and unidentified anomalous phenomena. I'm here today to discuss the COVID cover-up, the national security implications associated with the DIG's investigative findings, and CIA refusal to comply with lawful oversight, as well as how we remedy these problems. The CIA illegally monitored the computer and phone usage of DIG personnel, their investigations, and contact with whistleblowers. These were Americans being spied upon illegally while executing duties directed by the President and under the authority of the Director National Intelligence. You must be willing to pull the purse strings and, if necessary, convene another church committee. The results of our investigation would have been impossible without whistleblowers willing to come forward. They are indispensable agents for reform.
Yeah, so this was actually the clip that I was searching for.
Yeah, the CIA is covering up. We all know that, but yeah, it's a good testimony. But that's just testimony, right? CIA
Yeah.
will deny it, and that will be the end. We need like exact evidence to prove that they were doing that, and that's how we have to go. But anyway, this is a good one. Let's go back to the jellyfish one because I interrupted that.
Okay, cool. I found some other stuff connecting to the jellyfish because the jellyfish is very fascinating. I got this one. This guy, he makes connections with the jetpack man over here. That was sort of like a humanoid object that was, I think it was like a couple of years ago that that it was captured, but it looks kind of like the jellyfish.
Yeah, jellyfish doesn't actually look like jellyfish, by the way. That's just a name we given to objects like that, which has like a tail coming down or something.
True. And then of course we had our own jellyfish with the disclosure that we found last time. That was this one. Oh, is that this one? I did have it like lined up. Wait, I'm gonna give me a moment and I'll find it again.
No worries. Yeah. So first of all, this phenomena is weird because that's how you could even create like the Jesus in the sky, because
Yeah.
jellyfish looks like a man in the sky. Basically, we call it jellyfish, but it could be a man. It could be some object which is tall. So yeah, that's how they can create like they saw Jesus in the sky, and that's how Project Bluebeam will start. We don't know.
Okay, wait, I got it. It's this one. So this one was the one that we found last week. So that we both saw independently that it looks like a jellyfish.
Yeah. And then
But-
this is the one which is recently released, but there was one jellyfish video which was released a couple years ago when this terminology was actually coined, and that was somewhere over Iraq as well.
yeah. So I also
So
got
jellyfish are specifically coming in Middle East area. I don't remember seeing any jellyfish video over North America.
I got one from North America.
Oh,
But
this one is okay.
this one is the one from Iraq. So this is the legendary, like, full video from Iraq, which is, by the way, 17 minutes, the full video.
Yeah. We are not gonna play 17-minute video. Yeah. And Mick West came out and told everyone that this jellyfish is uh, a smudge on the camera. That really pissed me off when he came out with that explanation. That's a smudge. That's not a smudge. There's a smudge on his brain, I guess.
Yeah, that's not as much. I'll read something about the jellyfish, because I also did a little bit of research on this, on the jellyfish. So this is the description of the jellyfish. Jellyfish-shaped UAP with a seeking head motion and trailing tentacles. It exhibits a localized area effect on electronics, independent of specific targeting. Sustained electromagnetic interference effects that disrupted team equipment but not weaponized or precisely directed. Visual profile, sometimes white, sometimes described as purple-black in videos and interviews, with a bulbous head and trailing tentacle-like appendages. The head is roughly 1/5 of the overall structure. Tentacles trail downward and move independently of wind, suggesting internal stabilization or self-regulation. Observable on both electro-optical and infrared sensors. Head appears to seek or scan during flight. Head 2 meters across, tentacles 3 to 5 meters long, but varying. Flight behavior, winding, snake-like meandering serpentine movements along deliberate flight paths. Moves point to point in a non-ballistic controlled manner, often attracted to their signaling systems. Additional observations, they reported visual sightings with the naked eye appearing cylindrical from certain angles, strong infrared and radar signatures, no visible propulsion, exhaust or off-gassing, reports of electrical pulses between head and tentacles, nodules in footage, radar interference or jamming noted in some encounters, multiple daily encounters during testing, getting progressively closer to the equipment and radar. One team member had first-hand close encounter. So what I'm reading from is actually the Skywatcher team who classified different kind of UAP, and one of them is the jellyfish, and the jellyfish also has a counterpart in the hornet, and we're gonna go through the classification in a little bit after this video. But Skywatchers, they actually did quite a lot of research into UAPs, and yeah, this is
Skywatcher is Jake Barber's company, right?
yeah, and at some point they stopped because one of the members pulled out of it, and it's kind of unclear what happened there. So yeah, my personal reading is that maybe they were too much about disclosure and going too fast, and they were, pulled back. Matthew Pines was also involved as a advisor, and Gary Nolan was also involved with Skywatcher. So I think they were probably moving too fast, and they were, pulled back into line. But this video is very. I advise you to watch the entire video because it's quite
Yeah.
Quite a video, actually.
Yeah. I'm still shocked that Mick West said that it was a smudge. I'm really pissed at it.
To be
Yeah.
to be honest, I think this is where he disappears into the water, by the way.
Yeah.
Here he goes. And gone. Or underwater, I should say. Anyway, the whole video is like 15 minutes, so we're not going to do that. So this is the classification of the... by the way, I'll link all the videos underneath the video, underneath this video, I should say.
Yeah.
So this is the Skywatcher classification. So you got the tetra over here, the classic Tic Tac, the blob, the beam, the mantra, bright star, the jellyfish, and the hornet. So the jellyfish and the hornet, they look a lot alike. So and then the egg from Jake Barber, of course.
Yeah, the famous egg.
Yep. And then we got over here. I have to check.
I've never seen bright star. I mean, like even in the videos, I don't know what that is.
Well, then you're gonna see it now because I got it.
Okay,
ready.
awesome. Yeah, or maybe I've seen it, but I didn't make the connection.
Okay, wait. I do. Got all the. Oh yeah, 4:30. Okay, got it all lined up. I got a lot of videos this time, so I might get lost a little bit here and there, but I got it. And then, of course, all the videos, they jump as you go live. So annoying. But anyway.
Yeah.
Here we go. So this is the video from Skywatcher, also linked down below. They did awesome work, despite what the naysayers said.
Jellyfish. It's probably about 2 meters across, vibrating. Some kind of class has different characteristics. Some shimmer, some tumble, some spin. Some look like they're alive and they just fly like a living object in the sky.
UAPs are extremely hard to image. What is seen with the naked eye is generally not what is seen under camera.
The class 1 often spins, tumbles through the sky. Craft looks like a black body. It appears to flash, pulse multiple times per second. There appears to be some kind of cloud or vapor around it. We've seen class 1s in formations up to 22, 23, flying in different flight formations, different flock formations. The class 2 is the classic Tic Tac. We've seen it in groups of 2 to 3, often flying very erratically. We've seen these a couple years in a row, and usually we see them in groups. The class 3, the blob, a pulsing, vibrating cloud. There's something, maybe perhaps a cylinder kind of in the middle that has a different light like a flame, and then it vibrates and pulses as it moves through space. The class 4 is your orb. We've only seen it in infrared, but the class 4 seems to only come during certain activities in conjunction with perhaps the class 1. We don't have enough data yet to confirm. The class 5 we call the manta ray. It seems to tumble and rotate as it moves through the sky. Class 6 is bright star. That one vibrates very, very fast. It literally looks like a crystal in the sky. The class 7 is the jellyfish. It's probably about 2 meters across. The head is purple and black in color, and then it has tentacles. The class 8 we call the hornet. It looks very similar to the class 7, the jellyfish, except for it's bigger, and it's almost like a jellyfish carrying something. And then the class 9 is the egg. The class 9 isn't something we have a lot of data on. It's very limited. We have it as Skywatcher during our California event. It's an emerging class, and we have strong evidence that it probably exists, but we don't have data to concisely describe it.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
It is amazing. I wish I would have found it before, but yeah, this is amazing. They just have like classification with the like the video they have. So that was a great video.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll link it down below. The full video is also worth it, but this is sort of a highlight from the video. And then I got this one after some digging. This one.
Out. And its new videos have been leaked or hacked from Skywatcher research, revealing a new class of UAP, the Class 1, Tetra. Why is someone leaking this footage? Are they exposing hidden truths for public interest, seeking reform, or pursuing personal gain? The motives remain unclear, but the data is out, and it's compelling. Infrared and radar footage show these objects at 4,600 to 7,000 feet, displaying static, unchanging shapes, often circular, with no flapping wings like birds. Thermal imaging confirms this. Birds show clear wing movement, while these tetras remain steady. Optical footage reveals a flickering effect, especially when they turn or change speed, suggesting bursts of light or vapor tied to their propulsion. Their movements seem almost playful, interacting in groups with close-ups showing a black topside as they flip from dynamic maneuvers to stable flight where flickering diminishes. These aren't satellites, planes, or natural phenomena. Radar tracks and consistent shapes confirm they're real objects. Are they studying our environment, resources, or behavior? Could they be secret human projects, advanced military tech, or extraterrestrial explorers? Who's behind the leak and what's their endgame? Is it to reveal a truth or sow disruption? These tetras are real, flying in our skies, but their purpose and mechanics remain a mystery. What's your take on this enigma?
So that was from the first class of UAPs, the Tetra. And yeah, I found it very interesting because it also ties into Skywatcher, of course. And I personally haven't seen these videos up until now, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. So apparently there's also leakers within the faction that's trying to push for disclosure. And well, shall we move on to the moon, or?
Yeah, let's go to the moon. Yeah, let's go.
Let's go
if
to
we
the moon.
can, because a lot of people are saying nobody has went to the moon. But let's see if we can.
Yeah. We have really cool stuff. So let's see where I'm gonna start. Because okay, we'll start with Ross Coulthard as an intro. Okay, so there was a lot of moon files that were released, transcripts from astronauts. You know, we all know stories from Buzz Aldrin. But you know, basically they all saw stuff on the moon, on Apollo 11, 12, 17, you name it. Like, you know, all of the flights, they had anomalies. And a lot of them were released recently. And also there were, of course, a lot of pictures from the moon. And there's a lot of excellent YouTube accounts that are analyzing these pictures, and we're going to go over some of them. But Ross Coulthard also had somebody from Utrecht, the Netherlands, a researcher at the University of Utrecht, who has been on the show 2 times. And I'm going to play a short clip because this one is actually quite interesting. So he's a professor at the University of Utrecht, and he's doing a lot of amazing work. I didn't know about this guy until Ross Coulthard. But anyway, let's just play the clip.
Is this here completely blurred out in the public quick map?
Do you think that's deliberate? Do you think that's deliberate, Max? Knowing what you're about to show me,
I can't say for sure, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility, especially in light of the previous discussions about the Space Act and the Brookings Report and the Clementine mission imagery, and I think that's a possibility, and perhaps this just fell through the cracks or was unintentionally left in. But notice how much better resolution we can get here. And notice what we're looking at. There seems to be a tower-like structure. Actually, we'll see that it's actually 2 of them.
It's very tall. Look at that shadow. Wow.
Yeah, very long shadow. And I'll say I've actually calculated, based on the known sun angle, how tall the structure is, based on the size of the shadow and the sun angle. And it turns out to be about 95 feet, which is roughly the height of the Artemis II rocket that sent astronauts to the moon recently.
Wow.
And so that's quite tall. And notice there's all this other surrounding debris, and something has rolled.
Oh my God! That looks like go in a bit closer, Max. That looks like.
Let it go close. I want to see.
Yeah, but this is News Nation, so I don't want to play the clip
Oh yeah.
too long. But I will link it down below. This is actually part 2. They invited him on before. And basically, he is confirming and corroborating what people who have been analyzing moon pictures and Mars pictures forever have been saying for a very long time, that NASA is doctoring these pictures, and we are not seeing the full picture, like literally, because they're doctoring these pictures. And we got also, of course, somebody who actually hacked into NASA, a very famous person called Gary McKinnon, which we're going to play right now.
I double-clicked into the folders, and it's a proprietary NASA image format that I can't run on my desktop. So I double-clicked this. It was taking ages, so I cancelled it. I turned down my remote control thing into like 8-bit color, then 4-bit color. It came on the screen, almost line by line. I think a few lines at a time, so it's coming in blocks. And I'm looking, and there's like blackness. Then there's like slowly a hemisphere started appearing. I'm thinking, that's a planet. What the hell? This could be what she said. And the hemisphere comes into view, and it's very blocky, but it's kind of blue and white. So I'm thinking, well, it must be. And then suddenly there's a big, straight kind of silvery line that is coming down. Then that's, I guess, what they now call a Tic Tac, but it was what we used to call cigar-shaped object. The only possibly man-made thing that was there was like geodesic domes, like radar stations, one on top, below, and both sides. And I thought, well, that's strange. It's kind of man-made looking, but not man-made looking. And then I've got graphical remote control. I see the mouse move. Someone else is at the computer themselves, and they're moving the mouse. They've right-clicked on the local area network icon, right next to your clock on the bottom right of your Windows taskbar. Disconnect, and boom, that was it. Gone. I was cut out.
So NASA, they know stuff and they hide stuff, and we all know
they hide everything.
Yeah, and we know it, right? I mean, it's not a big secret. It's never a straight answer. I mean, that's the abbreviation of NASA, right? They always lie and they always hide. And by the way, Kitsune, if you want to say anything, unmute your microphone, because otherwise we can't hear you. I'm not sure if you're still there, but
yeah, about the moon, I just saw this article. When was it? May 14. It said that they found a rare isotope. It's called helium-3, and they said that it's one of the Earth's most precious commodities.
Yes,
because they kind of use it as a superlative coolant.
Yep.
That enables quantum computers to reach their operating temperatures. So aside from that, they also use it for advanced medical imaging. And this isotope, this helium isotope, is usually smuggled, or what was it? They also use it as sniffing out smuggled nuclear material. So it kind of holds a promise, as they say, as for a clean fuel fusion reactors.
Yeah. So I didn't want to.
They're planning to mine the isotope on the moon.
Yes, yeah. I didn't want to go that route because I got too many videos, but that's definitely something that we have to talk about. From a geopolitical perspective, the moon is essential, right? I always say he who controls the seas controls the world, but we're moving into on a planetary scale, like he who controls space controls the world. But in order to control space, you have to control the moon, because that's the stepping board, right? So
you can't control the moon because Anunnakis are already controlling it. So.
Yeah, and that's another can of worms, because why didn't we go back to the moon? And basically what we're gonna sort of, even though we're not really gonna talk about it because I got too many clips.
You know why we didn't go back to the moon? That is not that important, because I think eventually we will go back to the moon. So I don't think that's the problem, but it will be very restricted, like Antarctica, where not many people can go. So moon, like even if we try to figure out, we can go, but I don't think we understand it. But I think if we go there with the permission of uh, in Enlil, yeah, the
Yep.
lord of the
Well, yeah.
the recent lord of Anunnakis.
Yeah, and before people think we're completely lunatics, forgive my pun. But, yeah, there is, there's a lot of interesting stuff with the moon, and I think we should definitely do a whole show on the moon.
Yeah, maybe we will do that. I'll give you my whole theory. It's not my
Yeah.
theory. It's like I actually derived it from multiple theories out there based on ancient literature, especially from Sumerians. And then that there are people, tribal people. I don't know. I think Hopi or somewhere, that they have the map of not the map, the history of the world where there was no moon, and then moon arrived.
Yeah.
So I think there are people, some tribes, and I think they are in Africa, who have witnessed Earth without the moon, and then moon arrived. I think there is some connection to that. But I think we will do a whole conspiracy episode regarding moon over there.
Oh, okay, but maybe this I got 2 clips ready in order for this kind of conversation. If we fear to this, in order to back up our craziness. So I'm gonna play 2 clips in order to back up our crazy claims. For people who are listening. So this is clip 1.
Franciscan friar that would experience ecstatic visions as a child, and many people. The Russian space program was inspired by early rocket scientists like Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, who had basically constructed his own cosmic religion or worldview around space. This included a belief that humans would colonize the Milky Way, achieve immortality, regulate the forces of nature at will, and transition our biosphere into a new sphere, a mental network. He also believed humans would achieve time travel. His American counterpart, Jack Parsons, was equally unbounded by convention. He was part of the Pasadena cult OTO, along with Scientology creator L. Ron Hubbard. The two would perform sex magic rituals, and Parsons even received a past life regression in which he was Simon of Magus, a biblical character who used black magic to levitate. All of that is to say, maybe the true history of American and Russian space programs is stranger than meets the eye. The Russian
records, right?
Yeah.
And
oh yeah.
Turned off my microphone there. And I also got this one to really hammer it down.
Angelic beings, and he talks about it and writes about it, and that these beings are in constant contact with us if we're able to receive their knowledge.
Is it sort of a Gnostic religious initiation process?
So what I found was that when Tyler would do these launches, there would be a lot of iconography that he didn't actually understand. When I met him, I would ask him, I say, why are they using this Greek goddess, And he's like, is that a Greek goddess? It is indeed. And they would use Latin, and they would send it up into space.
Really?
Yeah. And so he said that, and by the way, it wasn't medieval Latin, which is a Catholic form of Latin, a Roman Catholic form. It was like 1st, 2nd century type of Latin, which is Roman Empire Latin. What does this mean? I don't know. Other than that, I think that there's almost like a parallel type of religion that's happening.
Okay, so I did a whole piece on oracles, and this ties directly into that piece, and I suggest you read it because it's really good, even if I say so myself. But basically, a lot of stuff with the moon is not what it seems, and there's definitely a there, as Eric Weinstein says. And whatever the reality of the moon really is, it is not exactly what we think it is.
Yeah.
And
Eric Weinstein, while you mention, he's a dumbass, so I don't care what he say.
Oh no, he's not a dumbass, but he's unnecessary skeptical. I think he's very skeptical But he recently changed his mind a little bit. I
Yeah,
think.
because now everything is out in the open.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
there is nothing he can do. So obviously, but this is the point. Like, he claimed to be a scientist, right? Scientists have to be like, they need to have a curiosity. And then once you like, you don't even look into the subject and call everyone a kook for pointing out the obvious. And then after like 10 years or 20 years, you come out, yeah, you were right. Man, you destroyed lives. You made fun of the people for saying that. So yeah, F you.
No,
F
no,
you,
no,
boy.
no. He wasn't that bad. He was also on Jesse Mitchell's like 2 years ago. He was willing to engage and talk
No,
to
he was not. He was
Woodall.
like, yeah, he was saying, but all his life he done that. Like, he's a kook. I don't care.
Hey,
He
but
lies all the time.
Kitsune, maybe you can jump in here if you can, if you are there and you can hear us. uh,
I'm actually listening because
No,
I'm
no,
also,
she's there. Yeah.
yeah.
I think she agrees with me, to be honest.
Like, how do you look at this? Like, because Eric Weinstein is as a serious scientist, and you know, there's many serious scientists out there, and they do
His
have.
brother is Brett Weinstein is better than him, to be
I
honest.
agree. I agree. I do like Brett better than Eric, but but basically, you do need skepticism, right? You do need, like, you have to approach this field with, is this true? Can I prove it? You know, you have to approach this from a scientific perspective, which is what he
Yeah,
is.
but they never use a scientific approach to debunk that, right? They just said, "Oh, you guys are cool. There is no aliens. There is no such thing." And like, speaking of dumbasses, like the biggest one is Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay, I do agree there.
He recently now released a book about UFOs. You are kidding me, right? Like, all your life you just dismissed these people, made fun of them, and now you're releasing a book on UFOs? Shut
Yeah,
up.
I always thought that Neil deGrasse Tyson was more like a popularist, like, you know, they have to popularize science for the broad masses, and I do know he's smart, like he's not dumb, right? He's a smart guy, but I do think, you know, he's smart, but he's also not that super smart.
No, they are smart. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in this topic. In their field, they are scientists. I'm not questioning that. I'm just saying
Yeah.
when it comes to that, they are dumbasses.
Yeah, but you know, I don't know. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I do think he's like a little bit too like Richard Dawkins. You know, he's
Oh, he is very much like Richard Dawkins.
very ideological driven. Let me put it like that.
Yes.
Okay, so
that probably has to do with his concept of knowledge management when it comes to whatever information there is in the scientific field. I mean, Neil deGrasse Tyson. So he's back. I think back in the 90s, he's into this knowledge management, and now,
oh, your
and
microphone.
yeah, and now with organization studies, knowledge management is becoming a thing.
Can
So
you expand a little bit about what you mean with Neil deGrasse Tyson being in knowledge management? What exactly is that?
yeah, wait, I have to look into that because there's this video I saw. I think maybe
Because when I hear
8 years ago.
When I hear knowledge management, alarm bells start going off.
Yeah.
Because it sort of gives you a notion that when it comes, like, yeah, I understand that. What's that contention? Because when you say knowledge management, the one of the implications would be censoring, censoring,
Mhm.
because yeah, you there with the kind of information that we have now, we gotta learn how to sift and manage whatever information there is around us. So I yeah, that was back in the 90s, I think.
And
He
I
had this review.
Can I ask you a question? Like, was he like an important figure in the knowledge management movement, or was he subscribing to it?
He's sort of subscribing to it being I think he's he's an astrophysicist, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just about the clip I saw from the 90s. So
Okay.
yeah,
But that's interesting.
and it's
Yeah.
becoming it's becoming a thing now in organization studies.
Yeah, it's not my favorite thing. I know.
My biggest issue with Neil deGrasse Tyson is like he killed Pluto, my favorite planet.
Yeah.
So I hate him for many reasons.
So this guy, Dr. G, I'm a big fan of Dr. G. He's a clinical psychiatrist and he does amazing job also analyzing Epstein, but also he actually analyzed the NASA astronauts from Apollo, I think it was Apollo 11, like years ago, and he did some UAP stuff, but basically he focuses on big criminal cases, and he's actually advised on criminal cases because he's a forensic psychiatrist who studies body language, but also files. But he has proclivity for UFO stuff as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, before we continue, so last time when we were covering photos, we missed all these photos of the moon. It
Yeah.
was there, but we didn't continue. But they were like really important.
Yeah. So that's why we're doing the moon this time, right? So basically, this whole show will be about crazy stuff on the moon and the jellyfish. Okay, let's go.
12 missions. All right, let's just jump right in. Now, the pictures we're going to look at right now are from the Apollo 12 mission. Now, I wanted to start here because what they talk about is so hard to wrap your head around. It's so fantastic. I wanted you to see some pictures of things that were actually caught by astronauts, by NASA, during the Apollo 12 mission. I want you to keep in mind that the Apollo 12 mission was 1969. Now, what they've released here is a magnified version of a phenomenon that was observed in these pictures. Now you can see the actual size is this small box back here, and it's magnified to this large box here. And what we are seeing, to me, is absolutely remarkable, because if you have ever heard astronauts talk about what it looks like to be on the moon, they talk about pitch black, that you can't see anything, that you can't even see the stars. And so for there to be something that's visible, something so unusual, is just remarkable to me. We're going to just scroll through these pictures, and then we're going to get into what they say they saw. But to me, this is just absolutely remarkable. This is not at all what I expected to be released. Now, here's another picture that is somewhat less fantastic than the one we just saw, but there are also visual phenomena that are occurring. And the way that these are described, it sounds like they're blinking or pulsing, because we're going to hear the astronauts actually describing some of what they saw. And now as we get to this, you can see this one is a little bit more colorful, and these have moved around a bit. And this one right here is incredibly striking to me. You see 3 distinct lights on here. This isn't a reflection. These aren't planets. It's just remarkable to me that they are now releasing this. And obviously, if these were things that could easily be explained away, they would have done it. These wouldn't be classified. These are classified for a reason, or they have been. And that, to me, that is just absolutely remarkable, far beyond anything that I anticipated being released in this. And then you see a picture like this with 5 different areas that they're magnifying. It's really almost hard to wrap your mind around the fact that this is real. This is something that NASA has had, that the government has had for decades. This was 1969. It's not like that they had special effects that they could be creating at the time that would look anything like this. Area 5 in particular stands out as just absolutely remarkable to me. But as I said, this isn't just to get my reactions on this. We're going to go into what the astronauts actually described. But I wanted you.
So that's super cool. To me, this is super cool. Also, his excitement about it is, it's infectious, and I think he does a great job going through what he discovered. But it also reminded me of a very old video.
That's why those astronauts were so scared in their first, what do you call it? Public meeting. Because the press conference.
Yes.
If you look at the press conference, they were terrified. People who thought, the flat earthers, they thought they were terrified, or they were looked sad because they were fooling everyone and because they never went to the moon. It's not that. I believe they went to the moon, but they saw this crazy stuff up there and they were very scared and they didn't know what to do. That's why their testimony was changing. First time they said they didn't see any stars. But later on, they said, they saw a lot of stars. Because they didn't know what to say at that time.
So I wasn't planning to play in this clip, but because you mentioned it, I'll try to keep it organic. You see Buzz Aldrin here, but these are the astronauts, and they are debriefing publicly, and they're he's a body language psychiatrist, so
just so that this video isn't an hour long.
Feel that you cannot always tell just by looking at the terrain what the exact resistance will be as your foot sinks into a point of firm contact, so one must be quite cautious.
Now you're noticing all of them are now fidgeting with pins. There is a lot of discomfort in this room right now. All three of them look quite anxious and quite uncomfortable.
In moving around in this rough terrain.
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar curl what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were... I want you to pay attention specifically to Neil Armstrong. He's in the middle. By the way, if you're not familiar, on the left is Buzz Aldrin. In the middle is Neil Armstrong. On the right is Michael Collins.
Period of time that we were photographing the solar curl what stars we could see.
And you could hear the way he was talking. He started trailing off when he talks about what stars they could see. To me, this lends credence to the fact that they are being careful about what they discuss, what it is that they are talking about, that they actually could see, and what they observed.
I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were a little bit... And you can see, we looked at those pictures from Apollo 12. They were things that were clearly visible in the sky in the distance. Look at all of the hand-wringing, all of the discomfort from all three of them as they are talking about this, how you can't see anything from the surface of the moon. All three of them look quite uncomfortable discussing this.
I don't remember seeing any.
You hear that? Michael Collins says, I don't remember seeing any. Now watch what Neil Armstrong does. Neil, immediately latches his fingers together. I mean, he is really holding on. Now, Buzz Aldrin's pretty consistent. He's just sitting there twisting his pin. But Michael Collins appears to be fairly uncomfortable, and then Neil Armstrong appears to be the most uncomfortable of the three.
You were a little bit concerned, you said, about stubbing your toe.
Now let's go on to the debrief from the Apollo.
Yeah, so you also have this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is Apollo 12, but I'm not sure. I'm not that well versed, but let's dive in.
Moon. And the pictures that they brought back, I never thought really established that. It looked like a nice blue earth. And
I want you to watch Dick Gordon's body language, because Al Bean, as he's speaking, he's shifting around a little bit, but Dick Gordon looks incredibly uncomfortable. We're seeing a lot of self-soothing, similar to what we saw with Apollo 11.
Well, from a purely visual point, one of the things that was most noticeable to me is that...
See, he's covering his mouth. We tend to associate that with trying not to say something, with almost reminding ourselves to keep our mouth shut. So to me, it's a very interesting pose for him right here.
In fact, when everyone's returned from the moon, they've raved about how beautiful it looks from...
You see, he's tapping his fingers, he's moving around. There's so much discomfort coming from Dick Gordon right now. And like I said, we'll watch more of this another time, but I at least wanted you to get a chance to see this.
The Earth looks from the moon. And the pictures that they brought back, I never thought really...
Now you'll see he just put on a fake smile. You see him do this. We do that when we want people to feel good, when we don't have an actual feeling, but we're trying to reflect a smile, so we're covering how we actually feel.
And the pictures that they brought back, I never thought really established that. It looked like a nice blue earth and white earth and green earth and whatever else. But when you're up at the moon...
and then you saw him do it again.
White earth and green earth and whatever else. But when you're up at the moon, it's a little bit different. As we view the moon from the Earth, it's white and flat. It's quite pretty. When you get up at the moon and view the moon, then it's much the same. It's either white or concrete colored or gray or something like that, depending on the sun angle. But when you look at the Earth is those colors, but it kind of sparkles, and it's sort of an interest.
And now you see Dick Gordon is backing up. He's literally creating physical distance. So as they're talking about this, he's getting uncomfortable.
It's quite a beautiful thing, and our pictures didn't capture it either. I don't know why. I guess it just can't be done. The one thought I had about the moon that sticks in my mind is almost everything in the universe that we know of or think about seems to have some utilitarian function. And we were up there circling the moon, and I kept...
You see just so much discomfort coming from Dick.
Yeah, it's super fascinating. I watch Dr. G religiously. It's super fascinating to learn about body language and, micro expressions and, how psychopaths give away their game, which is usually what he focuses on. Most of his stuff on his video channel is about psychopaths and murderers and convicted felons. But some of his stuff is about UAPs, about Bob Lazar speaking the truth, and Jake Barber speaking the truth, and he can't detect any lies in their body language and the way they speak. But he also did these readings of the astronauts, and they are lying through their teeth.
Yeah.
And that's just fun. But I got some more stuff lined up because we have to move fast. We got sidetracked. So I got this one.
Now, that's a very hard visual to make sense of. So one of them thought that it was two connected rings. Colin seems to think that it was some sort of tube that you could look down, but that from another angle, it looked like an open book or like an L shape. Just an incredibly strange thing to wrap your mind around. But the psychology of this is important because what we have is people disagreeing with each other. Everybody experience similar phenomena, but nobody can agree. So what we're not seeing is the leader, so to speak, saying, hey, I saw this, and other people going along. There's not the social psychology of groupthink here. These are actually minds that are scientifically minded that are disagreeing about what they saw. So that actually makes it more valid. That gives more validity to what it is that they observe. This is not one person experiencing something and people projecting onto it. This is all people with different perspectives, and that's extremely important when it comes to this appearing to be a valid phenomenon. And then Aldrin says, I guess there's not too much more to say about it other than it wasn't a cylinder. And then Colin,
did you stop or stop?
Yeah, so sorry, I have to get used to the microphone on and off. But but I wanted to play this little clip because of the psychology behind it, right? I think he's right to point out that, you know, if scientific-minded people are disagreeing on what they actually saw, and they can't find a rational explanation for what they saw, and they put it, and you got a transcript from their conversation, and then they say, like, you know, okay, we don't know exactly what it was, but this is the result. Then that actually puts more value onto the fact that it was anomalous to begin with. So that's why I wanted to play that little. So this is actually released within sort of the Department of War. It released a lot of stuff, a lot of NASA related stuff, and these transcripts that he's going through. And I'll link both videos down below. And please, subscribe to his channel because it's awesome. Sort of give credence to the fact that they actually saw something, like literally saw something, and they give different perspective on what they saw, and they're trying to make sense of what they saw, but they can't make sense of it. So, but I also got this one.
Maybe there's a normal explanation for this. The government, NASA, did not feel like this is something the public should know. So keep in mind, this is, even though they may have come to conclusions to say, I'm sure that's a natural phenomenon, for whatever reason, this has been classified for 50 plus years. What we're going to look at now is a little bit from the Apollo 11 press conference after their flight. They had come back.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, that we already went over that one, of course.
Yeah.
So I did line up that one. Give me one moment. So he also got the second video, which I'm lining up right now, which is about Apollo 17. And of course, Apollo 17 saw a lot of stuff too.
To describe the motion they're seeing, let's call it the XZ plane of the spacecraft. One unique thing about it, Bob, is that it's got two flashes. As it comes around in rhythmic fashion, you get a very bright flash, and then you get a dull flash. And then it'll come around with a bright flash, and then a dull flash. So they go on to try to explain that they think it's the side of the Saturn module and then the engine bell. So basically they're suggesting that the Saturn module is rotating and that you're seeing one side of it, then you're seeing the engine bell. What's more interesting is they go on to say the commander doesn't think I can see the engine bell on that thing. Roger, Jack. Is that with a monocular you're looking at it? So a monocular is basically this thing that magnifies by a huge amount. So if you're looking at something through the binocular, it's almost like a telescope or something like that. It's going to tremendously magnify what you're looking at. However, he goes on to say he couldn't see the engine bell if he had 10 binoculars. So what they're saying is that cannot be the Saturn module. So what they're seeing rotating is truly an unidentified object at this point. And when they're out in space, back in 1973, there shouldn't be that many things out there. This should not be that difficult to figure out what this is. And since there was all the talk about the Saturn module, I went to see if I could find any pictures of it myself, and I actually did find a picture from the Apollo 17 mission. This was a picture they took of the Saturn module. It's quite different than what was described with the flashes of light, with all of the angular sort of particles that were moving around. So when they said maybe it was the Saturn module, it seems highly unlikely because this is a picture they took of it, and it sounds very different than what they were describing. Now, they go on to continue to try to problem solve for what it is. There's never a good solution provided, but I want to jump down to another part because I think this one is absolutely fascinating. Hey, I just saw a flash on the lunar surface. Oh, yes? It was just out there north of Grimaldi, just north of Grimaldi. You might see it if you got anything on your seismometers, though a small impact probably would give a fair amount of visible light. Okay, we'll check. It was a bright little flash right out there near the crater. See the crater right at the edge of Grimaldi? Then there's this other one north of it. Fairly sharp north of this is where it was, just a thin streak of light. How about putting an X on the map where you saw it? So it seems like he saw a strange flash of light from a crater on the moon, which to me is absolutely fascinating. Now here's a picture that looks very familiar to the Apollo 12 pictures. There were a lot of pictures from Apollo 12 that showed a lot of very odd artifacts in the sky. And if you look at pictures from these missions, it is pitch black. The way that it looks through the rest of this picture is how all of the pictures look. It's just pure black. So to see something like this stand out is really phenomenal. Now, this was taken during the Apollo 17 mission. So once again, over the course of multiple missions, over multiple years,
Okay, this is the, so we had like, he's like, this Dr. G is super level-headed. You know, he never goes onto a conspiracy rant or, you know, he's like the most sane person you can find. He does have like an obsession with Epstein and an obsession with UFOs, which is really good. I'm happy about that. But he never goes on a conspiracy rant or, you know, he always bases it in clinical psychology or psychiatry, I should say. But we now have laid the foundation for these revelations. And now we're going off the deep end because, because there's a lot of great stuff out there. And okay, let's see, where are we gonna start? Okay, let's go over here. This one is really great. So I'm a big fan of Art Alien TV, and if you don't know him, he also has an X account. Subscribe to him. I'll link it down below. But he does this amazing analysis of official NASA pictures, and he always links the pictures to the NASA site underneath his videos. So all these stuff that he does is 100% legit. He's like a photo expert, so he doesn't mess around with the pictures. He has a lot of knowledge about image artifacts and lighting and, you know, you name it, he's an expert. He goes through all of that stuff. And he did this one, but I got a lot more.
Going to be over 300 megabytes. Okay, so you need to have plenty of space on your
device. This is from the moon.
Download that. There it is in the raw image. You can see the crater mass there, and then down here we got the inner part of the crater with this thing which is over a mile high, and we got another structure behind it. It almost looks to me as if it's like a gate, because this pointed shape here looks like it would have fitted over this. So this, is it possible that there could be a gigantic mechanical entrance that goes into the side of this crater and into the moon itself, and this would be like a sliding gate or a rolling gate which would kind of roll back and cover up this hole here? Is that possible on this sort of scale? Perhaps it is, perhaps it isn't. But bear in mind that there's almost no gravity on the moon. It's 1/6 of Earth's gravity. It's very low indeed. And structures could be built at almost any scale without any real problems. There's another thing next to it there. So It's absolutely insane. Let's have a look at this image I've got here. Now, if you look carefully, this looks like it would fit over this part here. And it perhaps it could kind of roll or tilt to the left here and then cover up this thing. So it's like an open gate or some kind of weird structure. I mean, I really don't know what it is. I'm just trying to work out what it could be. Just making suggestions here. I don't claim to know exactly what these things are. I'm just using a bit of common sense and imagination to try and work out what we're looking at. This is insane. I mean, this thing is absolutely huge. I don't know what to call it. I might call it Heaven's Gate or the Diamond Door, or it could even be some sort of craft. But would a craft actually land and then stand up like this? I don't think so. I think it's something else. I think it's actually a structure. It's over a mile wide. It's probably nearer to 2 miles actually, when you actually work out the size of the crater and distance. It's insane, absolutely insane. And what I mean is, we got this here, right? This thing here corresponds to this shape here. Now, if this was to tilt to the left, it would cover this hole here, and we've even got a gap there, as if it's on a pivot here, and the whole thing would lean and pivot to the left and cover this dark patch here, which could be an entrance. Now, that is speculation, of course. There's not really quite enough detail to tell exactly what is going on, but that's what it looks like to me. The shapes match up, and I really don't see how this or even this thing here next to it are natural, because that looks like it would fit over this part, this there. Let's do that again. There's a curve to it. It's got this kind of nice curve, right, just there, which matches that curve. So, I mean, it may be natural, but why would something like this have a central section to it? It's got this almost like a square wheel. I mean, the Flat Earth Society will love this. The Square Wheel Society is what they call them. So yeah, it's got this somewhat distorted kind of squarish diamond shape with a central part. What the hell is all that about? So, answers on the postcard, everybody. What do you think this is? Is it a spaceship that's crashed or parked there in a very strange position up against the edge of the crater? Or is it a structure, like a giant structure that may have covered this possible entrance here?
Yeah.
Mind-boggling.
So, you know, if there was no centerpiece, that special thing coming out in the middle, then I could say that this was a part of the mountain which broke off. That's why it's fitting it there properly. But then you see, it looks like a craft to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, also, why he added this weird background music?
Oh yeah, that's his style. He does it with all his videos.
Yeah, I was like, wow. He's just trying to make it more dramatic, which is good, by the way. I enjoyed it more. I'm just saying.
No, you want to know something? I used to watch his videos and Mars anomalies religiously before going to bed. You know, when I went to bed and I wanted to sleep, I watched one of his videos, and then you have to peer. You look very carefully, and then you fall asleep.
When I go to sleep, I just watch total entertainment, random comedy movie, something that nothing related to real world.
I always watch UAP stuff before going to bed.
Yeah. Sometimes I watch Y-Files, sometimes, but like they always have like something scary thing going on, so I don't want to watch something before going to bed. So I want to watch something pure entertainment before I go to sleep.
So basically, I'm going through stuff that I really like, some highlights that I over the years that these guys did, like Mars anomalies, lunar anomalies, Art Alien TV, and there's many others out there who's been doing it for many years, like over 20 or 30 years of research, and then they're working in a network, right? It's not just them, but it's all their followers who give them NASA pictures to analyze. But this one is one of my favorites from Mars. Mars anomalies. Okay, so when you look at this picture, you think like, wow, nice, but it's just a lunar, like a moon landscape, right? There's nothing really special here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
You can see the difference. I'm going to jockey back and forth. Okay. Let's have a look at these right here. Okay. Now, guys, when I seen this, I was totally blown away. Look at these structures here. Let's zoom in. Check this out. Now, we do have these lines coming down, so we got to try to not really picture them as part of the actual structure. But this one's right here. It's going like this. It looks like it has this weird rooftop type thing. And it goes down behind this other one. What I'm seeing here is this right here. I can see what looks like on the end of this building, on the side of it. Going up, and I see a bottom one here as well. Okay? This line kind of tricks you because this is part of a stitch line for these actual moon photo strips. Okay? But, check this out. Appears to be doing this. Okay? Now, get a look at this. This is cool. It looks like it has this weird piece on top of it doing this with two white round circles. Guys, see that? You got two in the back here on this one. Okay? Check that out. Here's the actual finished product right here. Here it is, guys. And you can see there's really no difference. Other than whatever was white, we try to make it a little bit more whiter. But there it is. Right there, smack dab in our face. Now,
so he goes over this entire video, but this is...
Oh, I can see it now. I can see. That's clearly a structure. And this is on the moon.
Yeah, and it's not a small structure.
It's really big, yeah.
If he's right, this thing that we're looking at is miles and miles and miles and miles high.
Yeah.
Gigantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do believe moon is not what people think it is. I think, first of all, I think it's a artificial satellite came from somewhere else to monitor Earth. And then there are a lot of things in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the other thing, the gate thingy that we watched before is also really big. Like, it's not like a small thing. So so we got this one, and he analyzes a couple of things in this particular picture, but each time these guys go over these pictures, they always mention like, okay, NASA is doctoring these pictures, they're making the shadows bigger, they're changing the colors of the pictures, they're changing the horizon of the picture, they're slanting the picture, they're doing everything they can to, throw people off the picture. And these it's really nice that these guys are providing a public service by going. I mean, they're having fun, of course. They're enjoying what they're doing, but basically they're more or less doing it for free. Okay, so we also got this one.
Because quite often, as I've shown many times before, structures can be seen in the bottom or sticking up out of these craters. Things like mining facilities and towers and buildings and domes and all sorts of crazy structures can be seen. And this one here, which is near the middle, kind of, this one here, it's the largest one in the image, it's the closest also, I think, has a structure here. Now you won't see very much of this until you add contrast, because the problem is the moon's very reflective. It's on the daylight side of the moon, it's very reflective, and it's very pasty and bleached out. That's pure reflection from the sun. And also it depends on the settings they used on the scanner when they scanned the image into a digital image to put it online. So the scanner settings also may have been not quite right. But it's a very reflective area of the moon, and on the daylight side it's very, very light grey and very reflective, and you can't see a lot, but you can just about make that out. If I zoom in a bit closer, you can just about make out there's a structure here with a flat top to it, and another structure here like an arch shape. Now you can't see it very well. So what I did, I added some contrast. I'll quickly do that now, just show you how I do it. I add a lot of contrast, minus 25 dark, plus 25 brightness. And I do that 2 or 3 times, and then it starts to come out. Let's do it 4 times actually. There we are, there's the structure. Okay, now if you're a little bit more careful, if you blur the image slightly, a tiny bit of blur, and you're a little bit more careful with the amount of contrast you add, you can actually get more detail from this. But that's just a quick version I've done for you there. I've got the image here behind, and I've taken a bit more time and added the contrast more carefully instead of in a hurry like I just did. And you can really get a lot of detail out of these images. They are really good actually. They're real photographs taken by people. They've been converted to digital images by scanning the slides and photos into a scanner on a computer and then put onto the NASA website and also on Flickr, as I showed you a minute ago. So there we are. And here it is, the enhanced image. You can actually see that quite clearly. I've got it, and I'll do some nice enhancements for you and try and drag out as much detail as I can. But a lot of them are very far away, probably over 100 miles away. Okay, so that was it really. Thanks for watching everybody. Tips coming up now.
How old is this video?
Sorry, microphone. I'll check. Wait.
I think it's pretty old because the version of Photoshop he was using, it was like really old.
4 years ago.
Well, then his version was really old.
But I do think it was actually an older video that he sort of re-uploaded. So
Yeah, it looks like it's Photoshop from 2012 or something.
Yeah, I think this is actually a much older video that he re-uploaded and sort of polished. You know, like he redid it with better visuals. But this guy he's really good, and he has a nice voice. He's also sometimes on what's it called? History Channel. I think he's sometimes on with lunar anomalies and that kind of stuff. But he does a great job, and I think also with this crater, it's kind of sort of obvious. Hey Kitsune, do you want to add anything, or just jump in, if you have anything, if you're still there.
No, she's here.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Well, then we'll just jump into the next one, which is quite phenomenal. Also one of my favorites. I got a couple.
Okay. Well, yeah. After that, we need to end soon because I have to go somewhere. So.
Oh, yeah, but I got. Can you have like 15 minutes more?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's just skim through. Yeah.
I'll move fast. Okay, so this one is really cool.
There it is there, nothing done to that. And I'll show you the final clip here. There we are. Obviously I've clipped it smaller, but this is still very large. This is 2,500 by about 1,500 pixels, so it's a pretty large image. And you can see the raw image there, there's a ball. And when you darken it and up the contrast considerably, it comes out like that. Very odd indeed. What could it be? A giant sphere in a crater. Could it be a dish rather than a sphere, or something like that? It is possible. People do claim to have found what looked like satellite dishes on the moon before, but usually they're so tiny and far away that you can't see any real detail. So, who knows what it is? But this is what I do. Basically, I add contrast, and I keep adding contrast. Color correction, because this will go very green otherwise. The moon in these images is in full color and it's very green, okay? And when you darken them up, it will get very, very green. So you need to cool the image down and add some blue back into the image like I've done here before you go in with the contrast, like this. Otherwise it would look pretty crazy. And there we are, now I've brightened it again. And that's basically all I do, add contrast. So there we are, there it is. a giant ball. And when you zoom in, it doesn't actually get any clearer, but you can see it's a nice sort of ball shape just there. Absolutely nuts. So, what is it? The question is, this is one of those things that actually makes you think, we're just not answering any questions here. It's just raising more questions. It's not answering any. There we are. You can see it there in the raw image actually fairly clearly. You've got the crater coming around like that, and then the ball. Now, what would cause something like that? It could be an optical trick. So how far away do you think that might be? This could be 50 miles away or 40 miles away, and you can still see it just there. And it's crazy, absolutely crazy. So this thing must be really, really large. What could it possibly be? And there are.
I got this one, but then I also found this one.
Yeah, while we are talking, Trump posted something insane. I've sent you the photo. Open that.
Okay. Seriously?
This was posted by the president of United States. Not this photo. Just show the people what we are talking about. Yeah, this is the thing Trump posted. Like, really, man? What the F you're doing? We know it's an AI, but seriously, president is posting stuff like that?
What is it?
Unless that's a real photo, and they just want us to believe that this is AI. The
Yeah, I mean,
conspiracy.
that's. I mean, we're getting there. I think this is AI, but yeah,
No, this is for sure AI because the details are very AI-ish.
But it kind of reminds me of the Phoenix Lights. Remember the Phoenix Lights? And then at some point, at the end of the Phoenix Lights, the governor, he said like, "Oh, we caught the villain," and then they pulled this alien on top of the stage, and he was in chains, right? So they caught him like with handcuffs. And then I said, don't worry, the it's resolved, and there was nothing there. And then later on, the same guy who was actually an Air Force pilot, so he knows what he sees. He admitted like, no, it was like a real UFO, the Phoenix Lights, and it was gigantic. And we needed to do this staged UFO alien capture in order to get people to settle down, because there was panic and people were alarmed, and there was like a real situation where things could have gone out of control. So I needed to do what I did, and I don't regret it, but it was not true, and actually there was a real UFO and people actually saw what they saw. But it kind of reminds me of this, because it kind of looks like an alien that has been captured. But a little bit unclear because it's not really captured. It's sort of like
no, this is AI. This is AI. So
yeah. But I mean, what does it represent or resemble? It kind of looks like he's captured.
Represent that Trump is just trying to divert the attention from Middle East because he's losing badly in Middle East, and he's posting stuff like that. I'm pretty sure. To be honest, I don't buy that theory that there are aliens in contact with the president or like the U.S. government. I don't think anybody's in contact from government to the alien. Maybe some people are, but they are not in the government. There could be a secret government. That's a different story. But the government from Trump administration, they have no clue. I don't think alien will take them seriously. We people don't take them seriously. Why will alien take them seriously?
Yeah, maybe because we don't.
But this is hilarious coming out of president.
Okay, so let's
aside from that, there's this stuff that I came across. If it's true, like it wouldn't be accurate, because there's this Stanford quantum physicist who sort of said that there are four most reported alien beings, and that one in the image, it's probably AI, but yeah, it doesn't fit the characteristic of the
No, they just created a
reported alien
buff.
being. So that's like a gray, that's a gray alien, and it said that the height of most gray aliens, which come in humanoid form, is just from 4 to 5 feet. So it doesn't fit
Yeah, no,
the
that's why. No, it was
image.
AI. Even if it was
Yeah.
matching the size of it, it was AI. And this photo, they created a buff, like uh, muscled gray alien. That's not how
Yeah.
gray aliens are.
Yeah.
But yeah, the story is like they created that. Anyway, let's go and finish that up. The remaining videos. Nick, finish the. Let's play the other ones. Nick, your mic is mute. Oh yeah, what happened to his mic?
Okay, so sorry. Yeah, I've got to get the hang of this. But we saw the gigantic sphere or ball on the moon, and that kind of reminded me of this one. So here we go.
That light-footed. Expecting to change in a minute, though. And I have the insulation off the mesa now. The mesa seems to be in good shape. You have to be careful that you're leaning in the direction you want to go, otherwise you slightly inebriate. In other words, you have to cross your foot over to stay underneath where your other mass is.
Copy of a copy of a copy is awful. With digital, a copy of a copy of a copy is exactly the same because it's binary. It's ones and zeros, and they can't mouse up ones and zeros. However, with film, you want the lowest generation possible to make prints, to make transparencies, to make something that you can look at and analyze. And fortunately, Ken had the most pristine, lowest generational number version of this data that we know of anywhere on the planet right now. So when he gave me these prints, I took them back, 1995 now. Think of the scanner technology then compared to now. And we scanned the film, and we discovered something absolutely extraordinary. I mean, mind-blowing extraordinary. This is a close-up. We see the hills. We see just hints that something is not quite right in the sky. And when you scan it and simply turn up the gain, turn up the brightness, there, all over the sky, is a stunning set of geometry. Glass-like, semi-transparent, scattering geometry, scattering blue light, which tells us that it must be fine particles, fine stuff, very micron size, with various imperfections, holes, sparkles, the whole 9 yards. This is what Ken caught them painting out in the LRL, because everyone knows you can't see stars from the moon. The bright things were not stars. They were shining bits of glass scattering sunlight, recorded by these primitive, by today's standards, Hasselblad cameras on 35 millimeter Ektachrome film. Now, it was a special Ektachrome. We don't have time this morning to get into all that story, that NASA actually secretly developed a special film to go to the moon. That's a whole other saga, and there's going to be more chapters in this saga, so we may invite you back in the next few weeks or months and do a part 2, because this is a huge story and we can't do justice in an hour, hour and a half, or whatever. Starting with this image, we then did sectionals, and we found that as you zoomed in, you got more and more detail in this supposedly black sky above the moon. Remember, it's a vacuum, no atmosphere. There should be nothing here. It should be pitch black. That, again, is why they were painting it out. This all fits together awfully, awfully well, and I use the term awfully with full knowledge. If you look carefully at this section, you'll see now that there is a stunning three-dimensional girder-like geometry. a scaffolding, rebar, a structural matrix standing above the moon, anchored to the surface by a set of slanted buttresses. The geometry is perfect, meaning it absolutely is consistent with what constructional techniques would be there if you had built something miles high above the current surface of the moon. If you look in close-up, you'll see in the buttresses there are layers of detail. This again is, what to me, stunning, amazing, stunning quality, because we had not had access to anything approaching this low generation from the Apollo negatives. In ordering all our stuff through the National Space Science Data Center, through Johnson in Houston, through the Lunar Planetary Laboratory, which is one of the Johnson affiliates, we had looked at things that were hinting that this kind of detail was there. But Ken Johnston was an incredible ray of sunshine, because here he had 30-year-old perfectly preserved low-generation copies of NASA's priceless original film, and all over this film we saw astonishing evidence of architecture on the moon that did not belong there. The reason I have a close-up now of a helmet is because each astronaut wore a gold visor, a gold.
So actually, this next part about the gold visor is super interesting. What he's gonna tell us, but you know, the ball that you saw earlier, like just before we played this one, is also from this clip, and it sort of matches up with what the Art Alien TV found in the NASA picture, and. Yeah, so these guys are actually directly connected to NASA, and these presentations that they did are very interesting. So I do want to play, I want to continue playing, because what they're going to say next is very interesting. So let's continue.
Covered faceplate over the Lexon faceplate of the space helmet, which kept the air in and kept the astronaut from dying from explosive decompression. All these years we have been told by NASA that, oh, this faceplate is designed to protect them from sunburn, from ultraviolet, from being burned. Well, I, along with everybody else, took NASA's word and never did my homework. When we got into this, when I started looking at how was NASA set up to know what they were going to photograph, how, if you're an astronaut in a spacesuit, do you know where to click the camera with your body to show the ruins? You've got to be able to see them to take the picture of what's there. So when I ran the curves, it turned out that based on this panorama, which is, by the way, the frame I'm talking about, 9301, is this one right here, you've got this wavelength dependence of the human vision. You put the helmet on, and lo and behold, the helmet suppressed all of the spectrum except for the blue-violet part, which is 20 times brighter now, which means NASA outfitted every astronaut who walked on the moon with a helmet with a glass film over it, which allowed them to see the ruins with the unaided human eye and take pictures of what was there. And all these years they have been lying to us about the reason for the gold-covered helmets. When you enhance the panorama, Ken actually had an 8x10, which was a composite in the lab of all of the individual frames that Shepard took. Click, 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 click. If you look at the entire sky above the lunar landscape, there were stunning ruins all over the horizon, 360 around. This is the shadow of Shepard, all right? We brightened this up. The ruins are blue. They're scattering blue light, kind of similar to why the sky is blue on Earth, because it's fine particle scattering. It's not uniform, however. You can see that as you pan around the horizon in 360, it changes with azimuth. In other words, if you look at this set of stuff, this crud in the sky, it somehow knows where the sun is. The scattering is dependent on sun angle, which some imperfection with the film, or some bad chemistry or something that went wrong in the lab would have no way of knowing. This panorama shows clearly that the scattering is dependent on sun angle. It is brightest down sun, which means it's acting like a movie screen. It's scattering the sun light through the ruins back at you, and that's why it's brightest where the shadow is of Shepherd pointing away from the sun. Everything about this scattering is consistent with it being a real physical set of lunar ruins extending miles above the moon, made of meteor battered, smashed glass over countless millions of years.
Real good, James. Right.
So, yeah, so I sort of want to finish with that one. It's the most out there, right? I admit that it's, controversial. You also got this guy. He was from Serious Disclosure from Stephen Greer.
Carl Wolf. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Carl Wolf. He was in the Air Force for 4.5 years. Beginning in May 1964, he had a top secret clearance and worked with the Tactical Air Force at Langley AFB in Virginia while working at an NSA facility. He was shown photographs taken by the lunar orbiter of the moon that showed detailed artificial structures, and he testified to that fact. And that's what this video is about, and I'll also link it down below. We don't have to listen to it, but it's basically on the record testimony by somebody who had the right clearances and who testified in the 70s to the fact that he was expecting that there would be like a grand disclosure about artificial structures on the moon, because they were obviously there in the pictures, and then there was nothing, there was silence. And now, how many years later? 50 years? 60 years later? 60 years later, we might finally get the answers that Carl Wolf was waiting for. And I do think it's interesting that the first batch of UFO disclosure, of course, we had some videos and pictures, but the main brand of the disclosure was about the moon.
Yep.
Which I find very, very interesting, especially with Artemis.
To be honest, I don't think we will get any solid information regarding moon. If there is something on the moon, I don't think they're releasing it for now.
I don't know. Artemis was, of course, the twin sister of Apollo, and Apollo was the god of music, light, sun, and prophecy. And Artemis was his sister, who was the goddess of the hunt, and among other things, the moon. So the fact that Artemis is sort of taking over where Apollo left off, and I don't know if this is a coincidence. I think we're going, and the next mission of Artemis, not the next mission, but the mission after the next mission will be actually landing and establishing a base on the moon.
Yeah, and if people know, if people don't remember, but Northrop Grumman is trying to build a railroad on moon.
Yep.
At least that's their plan. By 2030, I think they want to start the project in 2030.
And nuclear reactors, Rolls-Royce, and and now China is already on the backside of the moon. So. It is, we're living.
To be honest, it doesn't matter if it's on the backside or on the front side. Whatever is happening on the moon is happening inside the moon, not on the surface.
And also remember when they, I think it was Apollo 11 or 12, when they sort of crashed one of their probes on the moon, and then it rang like a bell for hours and hours. Like it was sort of hollow.
Yeah, that's like the solid evidence provided by NASA that moon is hollow.
Yep. Yeah. So Kitsune, do you want to leave us with our closing words on this episode?
I think we can push through with your idea about going through moon topics next time. I don't know.
No, we also need to talk about the man on the moon.
Yeah. And we also should talk about Skinwalker Ranch because it's time.
Oh, and then the whole archaeology thing is going berserk. Because
Yeah.
recently the Piers Morgan did a show again with Zahi Hawass, and then they agreed that they're gonna bring some new equipment there to scan. At least on the show they agreed on. But
Wow.
let's see if they allowed it or not.
This this is the perfect segue to get back to archaeology, because basically what we did is archaeology on the moon. I'll link down Moon Anomalies, Mars. Basically, his name is Mars Anomalies because it's mostly focused on Mars. Mars Anomalies, Art Alien TV, and all the other stuff that we shared is underneath in the description box. Go follow these guys. They're also on X. They're great. They're really great. And yeah, let's do archaeology next time.
Yeah, perfect.
Also, I think recently, this Jay Anderson, he's got this stuff on Malta.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this spot in Malta where he and his friends probably they went inside a sort of cave, but then there's also this staircase that's going really deep down the ground. So I think that's really fascinating. So maybe, yeah, archaeology, it is.
Yeah, no, definitely. You and me watched it together. Jay Anderson is awesome, of course. And our next archaeology piece will be about Malta, Peru. There's a lot of new stuff in Peru. Egypt, because Egypt is insane. And some other places, and yeah, we should also definitely circle back to the moon because the moon is also full of, and the Mars.
Yeah, Mars is again a whole different story. But yeah, I think we'll circle back, and I think this is good point to end.
Cool.
All right, but yeah, we will come back to moon because I have some cool theories about moon.
Definitely. So
All right.
maybe first moon and then archaeology.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.